Hey guys, I'm not going to be making a cooking video today. I've received several requests, believe it or not, and a lot of comments and personal messages to kind of give an explanation of how I take care of my cast iron cooking grate here, how I prevent it from rusting, and kind of the preparations I do before and after each cook, just again to keep it in the condition that it's in. First of all, I want to say I've had this for a little over 2 years. I've got a lot of experience though cooking on cast iron. I have a lot of cast iron skillets and Dutch ovens and such, so I understand cast iron. Pretty much everybody I think who's into cooking realizes that there's a lot of benefits to cast iron. I mean, you get a great sear, it conducts heat wonderfully, but it is also very susceptible to rust, and that's one of the downfalls of cast iron. But for me, the best thing to do is just a little preventive maintenance. First off, after each cook, what I do is you don't have to rush, just go ahead and enjoy your meal, but then when you're done, after the coals kind of start to cook and they've had an opportunity to kind of bake on all the leftover sauce or fats or whatever, scrape and brush. On these Craycorts, you want to make sure too that you get into these little areas that hold the grates in, but just a nice good stainless steel brush and brush it all off. Next thing is I keep a jar of peanut oil by my grill. I keep it out here so I will not forget. It makes it very easy. After I scrape all the stuff off and clean it really well, I just take a brush and I brush on a thin coating of peanut oil over the whole grate. The next day, after all the coals are cooled off, I clean out the kettle of all the ash. And the reason you want to do that is it can kind of hold in the moisture. If there's any humidity or whatever, the ash will hold that in there, and you don't want moisture around cast iron. Okay, so oil is going to help prevent the moisture from penetrating, and getting rid of the ash is definitely going to help. Also remember, on a lot of the rubs, seasonings, and sauces that we use when we cook, there's a lot of salt in there, so that's another reason why you want to get rid of the baked on sauces, the leftover from your grill. Now, as far as before my cooks, no matter what kind of grill you want, you always want it to be nicely lubricated with an oil anyway, with some type of non-stick oil. So personally, what I do is I'll get the coals going, let it kind of burn off the older oil that I had on there, just again as a rust preventative. And then once that's all burned off, I'll hit it with a wire brush, and then I'll apply just a nice thin coating of peanut oil again before my cook. Okay, now we're going to go into the I forgot to clean my grate, or I left the lid off and rain got to it, whatever. Haven't cooked in a few weeks, and you come out to find rust. And just for you guys, and it makes me sick having to do this, but I needed to do this as part of my video demo here. On my small cast iron grate that I use for my Weber Little Smoky, I actually wire brushed it, hit it with a little bit of, misted it with some water, and I left it out and I let it get some rust on it. And I've done this before, actually. When we're cooking on a grill, you're using extreme heats, and you can actually burn off the seasonings here, which is one of the reasons why you want to reapply the oil. And this, by season, I mean the burned off oil. It kind of leaves a nice slick coating, which helps for nonstick, but it also prevents rust. And extreme heats will damage this coating you have here, so that's why it's very important to reapply oil. Anyway, I'm going to show you what I do when this happens, when you get rust. Couple things. Obviously, you want to try to maybe brush it with your wire brush, see how that comes off. And that's going to take some work. I buy these things, and you can up at the Home Depot or whatever hardware store. It's like a sponge that has been coated with sandpaper to sand that really well. You want to get that down to the bare metal here, okay? If it's really bad, I use this. Naval jelly. It's made by a company called Loctite. Again, a few bucks at Home Depot or Ace Hardware, or whatever hardware stores you have. This stuff dissolves rust. It'll take it down to bare metal. After you use this, you want to make sure you wash this with fresh water really well to get all this residue off, and then towel dry it. Okay, towel dry it. Then you have to reseason the grate. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and clean this off camera. I mean, basically what I'm going to do is use this, just sand it really well till I'm down the metal. I don't think I'm going to need the nail jelly on this. And then I'm going to restart the camera and I'm going to reseason this. I'm going to show you how to reseason the cast iron. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I wanted to show you, again, I'm going to season this on my grill. You can actually do this process in the oven, but I prefer just to do it on the grill because it's kind of smelly and stinky and smoky, and I don't want to jack up the house. I don't use a whole lot of charcoal, and I realize that it's not all lit. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not cooking food, but again, just small amount of charcoal, and I got it scattered about the whole bottom of the grate evenly here. And since I'm reseasoning that one rusted section from my smaller grate, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of apply some more to the existing grates on this 22.5-inch Weber as well. Kind of contortionist here. Okay, so I'm just going to get these guys going here, and so what I do is I just take a paintbrush, natural bristle paintbrush, doesn't melt like the nylon bristles do, and just apply it to the grate here, just a thin coating. You want to make sure you get everything though. So you can see why I don't want to do this in my house. The reason I use peanut oil is it resists heat a lot better than a lot of the other oils. This is actually the oil they use when they season woks, and it resists heat better than canola oil, actually, and vegetable oil. Then what you do is once you get the oil on, I'm just going to take an old cloth here, and I'm not wiping it all off, but I'm just wiping it to where it's just a nice thin coating of oil. And what we're going to do, it's kind of a process where we're going to layer it on. Okay, here's that formerly rusted section here, again from my smaller grate, and as you can see I got it down to bare metal. Just lay that on there. Never done this before where I've kind of layered the grate, so hopefully it'll work. Same thing, just apply the oil. Wipe it off. We'll see what happens if this isn't seasoning like normally, then I'll remove one of these grates, but it should work. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just simply put on the lid. Right now I'm just going to come back in a few minutes and check on it, and what I'm going to do is just apply another oil, a layer of oil, once I check on it again. So I'll be back in a bit. Alright, we're back. It's been about 30 minutes or so, and it's coming along fine. Again, this is just a little process here, and this is just reseasoning it. This isn't something I do every time I cook. It's just when I'm preparing that rust that I had here, I'm just getting a new coating of that they call seasoned, seasoned cast iron. Normally I'd do this in my small Weber, but for this purpose here, I'm also, like I said, I'm kind of reapplying some of the coating on the bigger grill too. Normally I would be saying, man, it smells good. This doesn't smell good. All right, so again, lid back on. We'll come back in a sec here. All right, I'm back. It's been about a couple hours, and as you can see, it's done. There's no more metal visible. It's all jet black now. The rest of my grate is looking really good. I mean, you probably can't tell in the video how slick and shiny the reseasoning process made this grate. Cool thing about these is if you take care of them and again keep it oiled, it's only going to get better. It's going to get more and more non-stick, just like the cast iron skillets your grandma used. I was checking on it every, 20-30 minutes or so, and just brushing on a coating of oil, and I just kept repeating that process until it got the coating that I like. And again, I'm just going to keep coating it every time I cook, and it'll just keep building up on this. One other question that was asked the other day that I wanted to answer, I forgot earlier, as far as storing these things during the non-cooking seasons, like those of you who live in places with harsh winters. Fortunately, I don't have that problem. I pretty much can cook year-round outside, but if I was living in an area where there was a lot of rain, snow, I would, and I was going to pack this away, I would heavily coat this whole grate back and front with, again, a cooking oil, peanut oil, whatever, and I would bag it. I would put it in a plastic garbage bag, tightly wrap it, and then just stick it back in the Weber with the lid on, and cover it. However, what other precautions you take to keep the weather out of your Weber. One other thing I forgot to mention earlier, when you're not using your grill, just make sure you keep the lid on it and the vents are open. The bottom vent and the upper vent are open. That way you'll have constant airflow through here, and you're not going to get a condensation building up, which will obviously cause a moisture issue inside the grate. Anyway, I hope I covered everything. I think I did. Any questions, feel free to ask. Again, I cannot say enough about this grate. I mean, it just really changes the quality of your cooks. So if you're thinking about buying one, don't be afraid of the rust. Just buy one, take care of it. It's not that big of a deal. The preventive maintenance takes just a couple minutes out of your day, and you'll be really, really glad you bought one of these things. So anyway, thanks for watching.